Hey, what's up, everybody? It is Tuesday, February 7th, 2023, which means we are ready for this week's TNT Tuesday. So, this is going to be part two of our peg game. And last time, if you remember, we created the base of that peg game. We put in that complex hole pattern. We also were taking a look at how we can incorporate SVGs, bring those in, scale them up, do whatever it is we had to do, and then finally do really thin extrusions. And it's going to give it the appearance of the engraving and the branding that we might see on some products. So, what we're going to be doing today is we're actually going to be creating the pegs for this game. And we all know that the pegs are just simply golf tees. So that's what we're going to be doing today is creating the golf tees, putting them into that pattern. And then finally, maybe at the end, show you a couple little tricks we can do to put this into a drawing, maybe get some section views and so on. All right. So let's go ahead and let's get started creating those golf tees. So the first thing I'm going to do is just create a sketch. I'm going to come to this face and just kind of tracking this off the bottom. All right, I can start getting an idea of how tall a golf tee is. Just remember that the holes did not go all the way through, so we're going to have probably like a clearance there at the bottom of you know I don't know, eighth of an inch or quarter of an inch. I can't remember. All right, but I'm going to just say that my golf tee is just going to be about 2 inches tall. All right, so I've just drawn my line 2 inches tall. I'm going to go up here and continue on with line. I'm going to say that this is going to come over about 3/16. I'm going to draw my line down, just keep this simple, like 0.0625. And from right there, I'm going to stop. Okay, because what I'm going to do is now I'm going to offset this over. So I don't want my T to be the exact same size as the hole as far as diameter goes. So I'm going to go a little bit less. So my holes were 0.125. Okay, I'm going to say my golf tee is going to be like 0.12, just to give it a little bit of a tolerance right there. All right, so we've got our zero point zero 0.06 offset. I'm now going to go ahead and draw a line. Okay, send that over. And now I'm going to go ahead and just draw a line up, okay, as an offset. And I'm going to bring that up an eighth of an inch or 0.125. All right, so the bottom of our golf tee is going to have sort of like a rounded nose to it. So what I'm going to do is use create and come out and find my arc. Let's use our 3-point arc. Let's start it here, take it to here, and then what I'm going to do is pull this down, and you're going to see that tangency marker, which means it's going to be a smooth transition right into that line. Okay, we're going to come up here to the top. We're going to finish out our golf tee head here at the top, drawing a line starting from here, sending this to this line, and now I'm going to go ahead and just add my dimension. So I'm going to say that this total distance for the head up here is going to be like, a quarter of an inch. All right, so the thing about golf tees is that we know that they're not going to be flat on top, otherwise the golf ball would not sit on top of it. So I'm going to come out one more time. I'm going to use offset, and I'm going to bring this down like 0.03. This point, this is when I can now go ahead and use arc. Okay, and I'm going to take that arc from here to the outside, pull this down until I see my tangency marker that just came through. Okay, and we have ourselves a golf tee profile. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and finish the sketch. Look at this in a home view. I'm going to come up here, go to revolve. Okay, this is going to be some sloppy bad CAD, I'm not going to lie to you, but I'm going to pick the profiles that I'm looking for and finally get that nose at the bottom. All right, and now I'm going to go ahead and select my axis and use that as my axis. But before we get out of here, don't forget we need to switch this from body to create a new component and say OK. So we have our new component that's been created over here in the browser. Let's give that a descriptive name like golf tee. And last thing we're going to do is actually apply some material to it. So right clicking here on golf tee, I'm going to come up, I'm going to find my physical material. And within my material library, I'm going to come down, find my wood folder, and then I'm just going to say that this is going to be some sort of a pine. I'm going to go ahead and just drag that on top of it. All right, you could totally just leave it looking like pine, just the way it is. But I'm going to say we probably want to paint that, okay, make it look a little bit nicer. So I'm going to come over to Golf Tee, right click, and I'm going to come up here and go to my appearance. And when we get into appearance, we can come down here to our wood folder. Okay, and you're going to see a wood solid folder. I'm going to bring that down. I'm going to see I have some painted options. I'm going to bring that down. And we can see we have a 3D pine that is painted. I'm just simply going to drag and drop it right on top. Okay, once that comes in, I can see my 3D pine painted is here. I'm going to right click on it and say I want to do an edit because I want to do a color change. Okay, so I can simply use my scroll bar here at the top, switch this into a yellow color like that. Okay, and I can go ahead and close. All right, so we have one golf tee that we can use. Now let's go ahead and let's apply some joints to this and let's get that golf tee where it needs to be. Okay, so I'm gonna come up here and go to my joint. I'm gonna come down here and I'm gonna come right here to this rim. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and select that. Just don't forget from that rim to the point, that was 0.125. Okay, so I'm now gonna take this over to here. I'm going to look down into one of these holes. I'm going to be finding the joint origin that's at the base, okay, of that hole. And there it is. Okay, so that's going to come in. And I'm going to go to motion. I need to make sure that's rigid. Okay, and then my position is what I need to just come out here and tweak a little bit. So I'm going to come to this top arrow. I'm going to pull up. I'm going to say that that is going to come up 0.125, where that point is actually resting on the bottom of that hole. Once that's done, I'm going to go ahead and say OK. All right, so we have one golf tee. Okay, we have a lot more golf tees to go. All right, and you're right. We could just start, duplicating these tees, and we could just start going and throwing joints on them. But I'm going to go ahead and speed up the process. Maybe you like this process, maybe you don't. Okay, you make that call. Okay, so what I'm going to do next is I'm going to use rectangular pattern. Okay, my object type we can see as components, and I'm going to go ahead and pick the component. All right, so my objects have been selected. I'm now going to select an axis, okay? And I'm now going to go ahead and just send this along that axis. Okay, so for this bottom line, we're obviously going to need 5. And if you remember back from the dimensions the first time, the spacing on that is going to be 3 1/4. All right, so we're good to go there. I'm gonna go ahead and say okay. And now we have those golf tees where they need to be. All right, so now we need to go and fill in the rest of these holes. So what I'm going to do is once again use rectangular pattern. I'm going to come out here and just select all the T's that I want to include with this pattern. I'm going to say select for my axis. I'm going to go ahead and pick it. And now I'm going to go ahead and send it in this direction. And obviously we're going to need 5 of those. And then the distance we're going to need is going to be 3.25. Right, so we're good to go there. So I'm going to go ahead and say okay. All right, so we have all the holes filled within the actual game. Now is going to be the time where we can come in here and turn these off. So I'm just going to simply come out and just highlight all these. And when I do that, you're going to see this barber pole striping that's going to be on certain components over here. Okay. All we have to do is just simply come over here and just start hitting these eyeballs and turning off the visibility for all those components. Okay. Just like so. I think I've got them all. All right. And now we have golf tees in every single hole. We're looking pretty good. All right. All right. So now what we're going to do is we have to kind of remember that now each golf tee is able to move. All right. So I'm going to bring that back. All right. And now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to come out here and select every golf tee. Okay. We might even be able to get lucky with this and even kind of get this at an angle. Let's try it this way. Let's see if we can just snag them all like that. There we go. All right. And we can see those are all, you know, indicated over here in the browser. All right, so I'm now going to come through and I'm going to start picking. See if I can do that again. I'm going to start picking while holding down control on everyone with a barber stripe. And what I'm going to do is, I think I got them all. I'm going to right click on those and say, I want to create a rigid group. Okay, so 15 of those have been selected. I'm going to say okay. All right, and now when I come out here and start grabbing these, everything should be staying right where it's at because they're all anchored, okay, according to that rigid group. All right, so obviously with this game, there's going to have to be one that has to come out. I'm going to come right here to the top. I'm going to find out where that component is. I'm going to go ahead and just shut it down. All right, so there we go. We got our golf tees into the proper holes. Okay, everything's filled in. Okay, we're all set. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and just do a quick save here. And the last thing we're going to do is we're actually going to come out and create a drawing from this. So I'm going to switch from the design environment over into the drawing environment. I'm going to go ahead and use my own sort of title block. I'm going to say okay. And when my drawing comes up, I'm going to go ahead and just place this right in here. And now I can go ahead and start doing some modifications here. So I'm going to say I want this to be 1-to-1. And I'm also going to say I want the top view of it. Okay, obviously we're going to need some more drawing space. So if you haven't figured this out, you can still come up here to your sheet settings, go into your sheet size, and you can switch this over. I'm going to say I want this to bump up to a 17 by 11, which is a B size sheet. Okay, so we have the front of this. Okay, we could easily come out here and start projecting views. But in my case, what I'm going to do is a simple section view. All right, so coming up here to section view, okay, and picking on that, and I'm going to select on the view that I want to create a section view. Okay, I'm going to track off the center of this golf tee and send this all the way through just like so. I'm done creating that section view, so I can right click and say continue. And now I can go ahead and pull this up and say okay. All right, so that's going to give me a nice looking section view, okay, with the tag. If I can grab the tag, here we go. Pull that up there on it. All right, and then finally what we can do at the end here is go ahead and just give myself a nice projected view coming from that front view. Let's do that one more time. Here we go. We'll get our parent view and get our projected view. And now we can go ahead and add some shading to it. All right, if this is kind of driving you crazy, of course, you can double click on that, add some shading to that as well. And finally, with our section view, we can do the same thing. All right, so we are going to be able to see that the golf tee is sitting exactly at the bottom of that base. All right, we can do that cutaway on it, see how that's all sort of working. All right, we could add some dimensions if we wanted to. There's a lot of things we can do with it. All right, so that's just a really good project you can do with your students. There's a lot of great stuff in there that's totally built with the top-down approach on it. You got your materials, your appearances, lots of things in there with rectangular pattern, just lots and lots of really cool features you can play with, some things you can do with it. So there you go. Enjoy your Cracker Barrel peg game and have fun with that. We'll see you soon.